Dwayne the RV Inspector here, and today we're going to be talking about lithium RV batteries. And do you really need them in your RV? Well, we all hear a lot about lithium batteries right now. In fact, in the industry, they're all the rage out there. And it may seem that if you don't have lithium batteries in your RV, well, you're just seriously behind the times. But that isn't necessarily true. What is true is that there are a lot of pros, a lot of advantages to lithium batteries that work well in RV applications. But what isn't true is that they work well in every application. Now, lithium batteries are lighter, they last longer, they charge faster, they don't off-gas, and all of that is some of the problems that flooded lead-acid batteries have. And when you make that head-to-head comparison between flooded lead-acid batteries and lithium batteries, well, in almost every way, lithium batteries are better. In fact, I've made a video about that in the past. I'll put a link to that video in the description of this video and podcast, and you can go check that out. However, even though lithium batteries are better than flooded lead-acid batteries, it doesn't mean they're better for you, your RV, and the way that you travel and camp. So let's discuss that. Let's discuss some scenarios where, first of all, lithium batteries work really well. And then let's discuss some scenarios where they don't necessarily work all that well. The first scenario where they work well is going to be a situation where boondockers love to go out and spend a long time off-grid, and they've got a big solar power system. A lot of those solar panels on the roof feeding power down into a battery bank. Honestly, I would never make that battery bank out of flooded lead-acid batteries. This is where lithium batteries shine. They just work so well for that scenario. There's more usable power per battery. They recharge faster. I mean, the list goes on and on. So for that scenario, pretty much lithium batteries are the way to go. Let's go to scenario number 2, and that's with full-time RVers who pretty much stay in their RV all the time. And as a result of that, they might as well get the best power setup for the RV that they can get. And if they intend on keeping the RV they have for quite a while, well, the upfront cost, which can be significant, of switching to lithium batteries, that big bite that gets you at the beginning, well, it can be offset by the long life of those batteries. And in some cases, it can actually be the most economical choice. Now, moving on to scenario number 3. This is where any RVer out there just wants to have the least amount of battery maintenance and upkeep possible. Maybe they're just not able to do that very well. If that's the case, and if they have the money to be able to pay the extra for lithium batteries, then why not do it? Why not switch over? That would be fine. The fourth scenario where it could work well is any situation where you're kind of bumping up against the limit of the weight in your RV. You know, every RV has a limit for weight. It's called the gross vehicle weight rating. That's the most that an RV should ever weigh going down the road. And unfortunately, a lot of RVers, they put so much cargo in their RV that they're bumping right up against that limit pretty much all the time. Well, if that's happening with you and you need some headroom there, or you need to be able to put more stuff in your RV and you just can't at this point, well, then you can shed some weight pretty fast, pretty easily by switching from flooded lead-acid batteries to lithium batteries instead. You can often get by with fewer batteries and those batteries are going to be much lighter to begin with. So it's a good way to lower weight in your RV quickly. Well, now let's talk about some scenarios, though, where RVers don't need lithium batteries. And this is the big one, and honestly, it applies to a lot of RVers out there. And that is, a lot of RVers just stay in RV parks or campgrounds pretty much all the time. I mean, they may boondock a night or two every now and then, but that's kind of unusual. In general, they are in a park or campground and plugged into a power pedestal almost all the time. And therefore, the power for the RV comes from the pedestal, not from the batteries. Really, the pedestal is feeding power to the converter charger that usually keeps the batteries right at almost 100% all the time. So you really aren't using your battery bank very much, and you're not going to see many of the benefits of a lithium battery bank. So that's the first scenario. The second one is where the RVer just uses their RV a few times a year. You know, maybe on weekends or a vacation, and that's pretty much it. So if you go out and you spend all that extra money for lithium batteries, it's kind of hard to justify the extra cost because you're not going to really use those batteries as much to see the return on your investment. So that's a situation where you don't necessarily need lithium batteries. Number 3 on the list is, in some cases, RVers have a budget that's really right close to the bone. In other words, they can't really spend a lot more money than what they have on their RV. And if that's the case, well then, if your RV has flooded lead-acid batteries in it and it's working fine, there is no need to just jump out and buy lithium batteries until you can afford to do that and make that upgrade. And by the way, while we're on that subject, let me say this. Installing lithium batteries in an RV that already has flooded lead-acid batteries in it and was set up that way from the factory, that job can often call for a lot more than you may think when you first start out. It can be a lot more than just switching out batteries. In fact, you may need to change the charger converter out. Many of them that are older ones don't necessarily work with lithium batteries. You may need to change your inverter too. So what we're saying is that when you're talking about older RVs, especially used RVs, that were built at a time where lithium batteries were not all the rage, the change out of the batteries is only part of the expense. You may have to really get in there and change quite a few items, sometimes even the wiring itself. So before you get into a project like that, it's best to really examine what you have, what's going to work. Is the lithium battery bank that you plan on putting in there going to work with all the equipment that you already have? And honestly, sometimes it's best to just keep things simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't go out there and fix something that isn't necessarily broke at that point. And don't let anybody pressure you into buying batteries that you really don't necessarily need. Now, I know there's some who are going to watch this video, and there's some RVers that they have a very narrow mindset about what should be used in RVs, and they love lithium batteries and they believe in lithium batteries and they think everybody should have lithium batteries in their RV. And they are great, like I said before. But I hope what I've demonstrated in this video is that they aren't necessarily best for everybody out there. And hopefully this video will help you then make a more educated and discerning decision about what is going to actually fit your RV and your style of travel and camping. And that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.